Hello friends and welcome back to the channel. In this episode, we'll make some English muffins. They are surprisingly easy to make. I don't know why I hesitated for so long. And you can see for yourself, these look much better than the McDonald's ones. And you can fill them with whatever you like. They're the perfect snack, breakfast treat, whatever. So keep watching if you want to learn how to make these. As always, you'll find a full detailed recipe down in the description box with metric and imperial units. So first things first, let's see what equipment we need. I will need a pan, because they're cooked in a pan. We'll need a bowl to mix the dough in. We'll need scales, a dough scraper or a spatula, and a temperature probe. Don't know why I forgot to show it. Now on to the ingredients. Some strong white bread flour, some milk. We'll need some soft butter, an egg yolk. We'll also need some semolina, yeast, salt, and a bit of sugar. Alright, let's get to it. Get your bowl, add your milk, add the sugar, salt, yeast. Next comes the egg yolk, and then in with the butter. Process is very easy, we just mix everything together. We want to hydrate the yeast and dissolve any large sugar crystals basically at this point. And once that's done, add the flour. That's our last ingredient for the dough. And now mix until you don't see any more dry flour. Once it's all mixed up, grab your scraper. You can wet it a little bit so it's easier to handle the dough because this dough is quite sticky. Scrape down the sides and take the dough out of the bowl. Because this dough is quite sticky and stretchy, we will use the stretch and fold method for kneading it. So what you want to do is pick the dough up by its side, turn it, slap it against the table, stretch it towards yourself and fold it over. And always pick it up by the side. You want to repeat this motion for around 5 to 7 minutes. It will be very sticky, but don't worry about it, just keep going and it will get less and less sticky as you go on. You can also use your dough scraper to scrape the dough up once in a while. And if you think that it's really sticky, you can wet your hands as well. And of course, if you have a mixer, then just mix it in a mixer. It'll take 5 minutes on medium speed. Now this dough looks about right, but my hands are really sticky. What I always like to do is wash them before I handle the dough and also wet my hands. This makes it a lot easier to handle the dough. See, it's nice and smooth, stretchy, now it's ready for its first proof. Get it in the bowl and always take the temperature. 25 to 26 degrees Celsius is just about right for this. Cover it up and we'll leave it to ferment. It should take around an hour and a half or so. You'll see when it's done. It should visibly puff up, double in size at least. And this looks about right to me. Now we're ready to divide it. Now this dough is still quite sticky, so we're going to use a bit of flour to prevent it from sticking. But don't go too crazy when you're dusting it. It's always easier to add more than to take off. So dust the top of your dough, dust your table, then get your scraper and release the dough from the bowl. Then you can pop it out on the table, roll it around a bit so it's all covered in flour. And now we're going to divide these into 4. Normally I would suggest using scales for dividing your dough. But this time I wasn't really worried about getting wonky sizes, so I just eyeballed it. But that's up to you. If you want them to be perfectly uniform, use your scales. If you're not too worried about that, just eyeball it. Then use your scraper and cut them down to size. And after we've cut them up, we can shape them. And the shaping is very easy. It's the same exact process you would use for creating any bun. Flatten the dough out. Then fold the edges over the middle, going around in a circle until you reach the point where you started. Then flip the bun smooth side up again, tighten it against the table, pinch the bottom seam back together, and that's done. Now repeat with the rest. If you messed up the first one, you still have 3 more to practice on. And this recipe is so simple, we've only taken a couple of steps, and we're already putting these in a pan. So what you want to do now is just dust your pan generously with the semolina. And then place your muffins right into it. Make sure you leave enough space between them. And also sprinkle the tops of them, generously. Don't worry about adding too much, because you can always shake it off after baking. See me using my palm to press them down. That's just to get them more into that English muffin shape. So now we need to proof them one more time before baking. Cover them up and leave them for around 30 minutes. Again, you want them to visibly puff up. If they're not puffed up, they're not ready. Ferment them for longer. But my ones look about right. Now this next step is not totally necessary, but I decided that it's needed. It's up to you if you want to do it or not. What I did was pick the buns up and just roll them around in semolina, just to coat every part of them. And once again, you can use your hands just to press them down, make them more flat. But don't press too hard, obviously, you don't want to deflate them. And once you've done your little massage, let's get them over to the hob top to cook. Now make sure your heat is on low, because these bad boys will take quite a while to cook. You want to cook them low and slow. The temperature adjust on my hob goes from 1 to 9, and I cook these on number 3, which is barely warm enough to cook anything. You want to cook them for at least 10 minutes per side. What I like to do once in a while is to turn them 180 degrees so the outside part is facing the middle of the pan, because the middle of my pan is always hotter than the sides. And around 5 minutes in, flip them around. As you can see, there's not much color going on yet, but they will brown more as you go along. It's been 5 more minutes, I'm flipping them around again, and now they start looking like English muffins, proper. And if you feel like they're browning too quickly, turn the heat down even lower. So as soon as both sides are browned nicely, they're done. And what a simple process it was, right? And the results are amazing. I really encourage you to try these because they are much better than what you get at McDonald's or in the supermarket. And as always, if you have any questions or suggestions, drop them down in comments. Subscribe if you haven't already. I make bread baking videos every Wednesday and Sunday. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.